Previously on We Are Pure Love. Already we've covered how we met at Bible college, deconstructing our evangelical upbringing, my issues with addiction and mental health issues and prescription medication, and venturing into alternative therapies, plant medicine, psychedelics. We've talked about our marriage,
our
fertility treatments, dealing with that, choosing to be intentionally child-free.
Yeah,
That's the previously on.
that's the previous.
If you only watch 2 hours of this whole thing, these next 2 hours are probably going to be the best.
Probably the ones you want to listen to. Presently, we're in Mexico.
We're in Mexico. We're on the beach. We had to crawl through.
We literally crawled through a cave to get to this beach.
Get to this beach. We first came to Mexico. We went to Cancun for a week. That was actually pretty big for me because I had just kind of recently started my morning routine. And it was the first time I was out of our regular environment and I maintained the morning routine. Like, I remember sitting on the beach and going and sitting on a dock in Cancun and just doing my meditation and my breath work.
You did.
While you were
just sitting on
the beach waiting for me. And that was big for me. Because even on vacation, I made it the most important thing. It didn't matter where I was. And I was really in a good place at that time in my healing and my growth. I was still drinking. I was still like going to the OXXO and getting a beer for 20 pesos. And we did have a pretty big party day that trip.
We did.
But I was on the way out from that lifestyle. We've been coming to Mexico ever since.
Every year, every winter.
We spend our winters in Mexico, which back then for me was like the dream.
It was a dream.
How are we going to get
how can we make that happen?
You know, I've been working remotely for a while and I thought I could do this. And
it was a dream and I was like, yeah, that sounds nice, but I didn't actually see it or like even want it in that moment. And we went to Isla Mujeres
and drove around on
a golf cart.
You got into a bit of a crabby mood.
I got so crabby. And I don't even remember what it was about.
I remember what it was about. You had all these ideas of what you wanted to do, and you weren't going to be happy unless you checked off the boxes.
Okay.
And I was just telling you, anything here in paradise is good.
It's good.
Follow your curiosity, and it's going to take you to something better than you saw on a TikTok or an Instagram, right? And you kind of learned that lesson that day, or started to.
Yeah.
It's also the first time we had outdoor sex.
Like in a cave, pretty much. All these rocks were around, and we snuck down, and that was good. That was a good time.
When our sex life was not good at that time.
No. It was not.
This is part I don't want to talk about.
I know.
For me, there was so much shame surrounding sex that I didn't acknowledge and wasn't really aware of. I was not confident in it. I had a lot of anxiety surrounding it, even though you and I had a lot of sex.
We had it frequently. We weren't lacking.
But it was lacking.
But
there was no connection.
Yes.
I was very in my head. Duration, lasting long, was an insecurity of mine.
Yeah.
And I, looking back, realized it was always a focus on what I was able to do or give to you rather than what I was feeling.
Okay.
And I also learned later on that I didn't feel worthy of you. Right? And I want to like back all that up with my trauma, like what led me to be that way. And there's so much I could talk about in that.
Yeah, because like I want to also take responsibility of like I wasn't lifting you up in ways that could maybe change your mindset of meeting me.
There's other people that are so much a part of my life and my story, and we're really trying to focus on our stories, just the two of us.
Yes.
But I'll say my mother had traumas that I was made aware of that were kind of passed down to me. She had an abortion after her first sexual experience, and it's something that she had struggled with, and I witnessed her struggle with that, and she told me about it, and we don't need to go too deep into that. My sister got pregnant the first time that she had sex and had the kids and married the guy. And then my first sexual experience, if I was a girl and the other person was a guy, would have been considered date rape.
By what you tell me, yeah.
I did not have a very pleasant
First experience.
And subsequently had never really had. My first marriage was all the same issues. I thought I was broken. I thought I was broken sexually. At a certain point in our relationship, I did get to the point where I realized when you and I had sex, as long as I had a good time, you had a good time. And like I thought, oh, that's enough for her. But I still did struggle with the idea that I was your first sexual partner. You'd never been with anybody else.
No.
How could you be satisfied with what I wasn't satisfied with? Things started to make sense on our anniversary, 2022.
Okay. We went to Stratford.
Yeah. We had started doing this thing where I would sit down and say, okay, you wanna sign up for another year?
Yeah, we did this like
Negotiation.
renegotiation of the contract.
We'd been growing a little bit more. I'd been growing a little bit more.
You've been growing a lot.
And we had been kind of discussing how you were living and growing into yourself in a more independent way.
I was.
We've talked about independent Esther.
Yes.
And I was making space for that.
Yeah.
Because you had never, ever had an opportunity to have like a young adult life.
No, I always was living with someone in a relationship or something.
There was someone that I had been doing trips with.
Yeah.
And she was, or is, a lesbian. And we had developed a close friendship with some physical contact. And because she was a lesbian, it wasn't like sexual, but it was intimate.
Yes.
And that was helping me kind of differentiate between physical affection and shameful physical touch and affection. And I was starting to learn these things. And I think you and I started to get much more open in our discussion about our physical relationship. I was telling you about all these insecurities that I had that you weren't even aware of.
Yeah.
Right? I had begun those talks and conversations, letting you know that, like, I remember one time telling you, I wish you could just get, like, fucked by somebody who, like, really can.
Yeah.
Because I never could even imagine like.
You couldn't imagine yourself being able to.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's just not me. I'm like
what you told yourself.
Romantic and loving and touching.
Yes.
But like not this and not that and not that. And I hadn't quite figured that out yet. Don't worry, we'll get to that. But at our 9th wedding anniversary in Stratford, 2022, you,
I don't even remember how I got to this.
I think I was talking about me and
Your friend.
friend of mine, my lesbian girlfriend, I called her.
Yes.
And you.
And then I was like, oh, I understand that. I could be with I could see myself being with a girl, or I don't know how I brought it up, but I told you I'm bisexual.
How long had you known before that? Do you know where you were accepting of that in yourself?
Not very long. Not very long at all. Maybe 6 months.
So for 6 months, you had been coming to terms with seeing yourself that way.
Yeah, and mostly it was from TikTok. So I was swiping on TikTok, and then it was like, oh, it's one of those trap ones where it's like you watch it, and then they're like, ha, if you watch that, then you're into girls. So I was like, oh, they're right. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
What did you have to overcome either before or after that to be able to just not, push that out of your head?
Well, growing up in a Christian environment, you're not even allowed to think that that would be an option for you, because it's taught that it's a choice. So I've already chose to be heterosexual. I mean, that's not a choice kind of thing, right? Like, you just are heterosexual.
But you did make that choice.
And then, so I did have an experience when I was in like grade 7, where I had a sleepover with a girl and we were hanging out, and then we tried some things. We saw it on TV. Our parents were not home, and we tried, oh, that looks fun, let's try that. And that stuck with me because that was technically my first sexual experience.
Would you consider, without getting into details, what you did sex? Female.
It's so hard. Everyone gauges sex with female and female different ways. I actually wouldn't, because it was like so short. I don't know. Maybe it is. See, I just don't even know myself how to define that, because it was just a little playful, oh, let's try that, for like, it's not like we were orgasming or anything like that.
Okay. So that's how you define female sex?
No, I just define it as like going down on a...
Okay.
What?
Pass me the water.
Oh, thank you.
They could have walked anywhere else. Kilometer of beach.
And you just decided to stop there. So we were talking about the first time I had sex with a girl. And we're calling it that.
Okay. You hadn't told me about this even when you came out to me as bisexual.
No, this came out later.
So we talked about that briefly at a bar. It was a few days later where you and I went for a walk. So I was full into my morning routines. I was doing my meditation every single day with breath work and, cold showers and neti pot. I did that for quite a while. And you had started taking morning walks. I remember one day I was like, you look so great. Are you going to meet somebody out on those trails? Do you want me to come with you? You're like, no, I prefer to go alone. So you had your alone time, mindfulness, and I had my kind of routine. And again, we were growing, and I was seeing you becoming much more open. And I would look back to that first mushroom trip and think, that's where it began. That's where she started to overcome all this kind of religious trauma. and is now opening up to a point where she's discovered this new thing about herself. So we did go on a walk together, and we sat down at a bench, and we really talked about this thing that you shared with me.
This thing that I shared going forward, like, how does this change our relationship?
And I was very much of the opinion at the time that if I had something like that in me, I would want to pursue it. I'd want to, take that step. Now, you hadn't told me about your experience in grade 7.
Yeah.
So,
because I didn't even think about it.
And as far as, our relationships before we got together, I knew, about your 4 boyfriends in high school, and you knew about my ex-wife and everything else.
Yeah.
But we got to the point where I was comfortable when you wanted to try to maybe meet someone on something like Bumble.
Yes.
And have a date with a girl. We did also at that time talk about the fact that you hadn't had any other experiences with men as well.
Yes.
And I was like, that's something I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah.
Even though I understand, like I really understand, I could never understand. I really put a lot of thought into the fact that you had only ever been with one man.
Mm-hmm.
And I understood how that's definitely going to be something that you're thinking about. And I made it very clear. Yeah. That's not something I'm okay with. We can renegotiate next year.
Yeah.
But we just did our 2022 negotiations. So it was a while that you were bumbling.
Mm-hmm. Before
you met
I found someone.
Yeah.
That was in Regina.
Okay. So her first date was in Regina when she was on a layover. And I was like, you turn your location services on. You're updating me at every step of the way.
Yeah.
Like I was very, very, very involved.
Yeah.
In that.
And I had a good time. We didn't mesh well. I didn't see her again. We just went out to a couple bars.
As I recall, it was a weird, disjointed evening with different
It was a
characters
very
coming in and out.
strange evening where she invited other people to join us. I'm like, what? That's just gonna be you and I. But I learned a lot, and then I did end up meeting another person.
Wait. You smooched.
We smooched.
There was some smooching, and I wanted to hear about it.
It wasn't good.
She told me about that.
Smooch wasn't good. I met someone else in Calgary, and these were always on layovers, and we had a great time. And then I met her again the second time, and then we came back to my hotel room, and we had a great time.
At one point, you and I were on the phone.
Or you called me.
While you were with them.
While I was with her.
And we had a quick little back and forth.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, she's here right now.
She's still here.
And I was like, well, then why did you pick up the phone?
Nothing to hide.
And I was like, get back. Like, if you're on a date, give your date attention. And then you told me later she was like, oh, I'm surprised he's so cool with it all.
Yeah, she was like, oh, wow, that's different. Like, sounds nice.
Because there's nothing about it that's threatening to me.
No.
Right? First of all, I like women. I get it. Right? And second, there's nothing that she can do that I could do, And you've also explained to me the sapphic experience.
Sapphic experience is different. It's because there's an equal share of masculine and femininity between the two of us in this sexual tension and yeah, I enjoy that. It's completely different.
When you were with her, I was doing one of my annual solo trips. And I took a high dose by myself, was alone in what was my bedroom at that time. And I was aware that you were out on a date with somebody. And I had what I felt like was a very feminine experience. I remember feeling like I actually gave birth to something. And I remember the big takeaway from that trip was it's all a story.
Yeah.
Like in 1,000 years, all my life will be is a story. And I don't even control the narrative of it. Other people will be telling it if my name is spoken at all.
According to them.
Right? And I had such a freedom from that experience of needing to control the narrative of my story.
Yeah.
And I felt like this was real growth between you and I. And it really helped me understand how there were certain kind of sexual needs that you had that I couldn't give at all.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of me being able to start healing my own insecurities, my shame.
Yeah.
It was around this time that I got a message from somebody in India who is a digital nomad. And he was like, "Oh, I'm in India. It's so great. I wish you could be here. You'd love it." And I I was telling Esther about it, and I was like, you know what? We had been to Mexico twice at this point. I spent 2 weeks there, the winter of 22.
Yes.
So before that 9th wedding anniversary, I spent 2 weeks in Cozumel, and you were there for about 5 days.
I was there for like a week. And then...
five days, and then you had to go to work.
Yeah.
So I got to spend like a considerable amount of time not vacationing in Mexico, but living and working in Mexico. And I just thought this could happen now because the trailer in Tulip Town was getting comfortable. The solar system was up, right? It was getting to the point where I imagined I could spend all the warm months out in Tulip Town and all the cold months in Mexico. But we had the house. And I just said to Esther out of the blue, sometime in the spring of 2023, it was around this time that I said, you know, you loved the house.
I love that house.
But I could get rid of it. And I was like, if I could just travel all winter long and live in the trailer in the summer, I would do it, except for her.
It was my dream house.
And I said, you've been growing, becoming more independent, having relationships with women. I think you might have just maybe started dating one woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if like you just paid the rent for the house and managed that and lived here and it was like your place? And I went and lived at the trailer and went to Mexico in the winter, and I would come from the trailer in to go on dates with you.
Yeah.
And then when I'm out in Mexico, whenever you're not working, you come stay with me, and we would like grow together, separate, and still come together and retire together, but spend a bit of time where you had all the freedom in the world to just live your life.
Yes.
And I would be your husband that is out doing this and doing that and would come back.
Come back, when I'm not working, gone working, when I'm not on dates with other women.
Because we were at the point where we were doing quite well.
Yeah, I was like, I can handle the finances of this house.
And everything that I was earning would go towards everything outside of just the house, right? Like we worked it out. It was pretty fair. Yeah. It was pretty split. And we were able to do time apart pretty good.
Yeah.
So to be able to say we could have like 2 days a week where it's just the two of us focused on each other. I could have like 3 days a week where I'm hanging out by myself because I was really getting a lot of solitude out in Tooltown. And then another 2 days a week for socializing, either with like individual friends or girlfriends and maybe couple friends.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think that kind of a schedule would work.
Yeah. And it did work.
Well, I just threw out the idea of like that as kind of a joke, but your face lit
I was like,
up. You were like, that's it.
This sounds great. This is what I want.
You jumped at it a little bit too quick.
Yeah. I did.
But I just saw that as another aspect of you opening up and growing and getting to know yourself more. Right? So we went for it.
We did it.
We said, like, at the end of this month, we're going to split our finances. And I'm going to have my bank account, and you're going to have your bank account, and I'm going to be responsible for these things, and you're going to be responsible for those things. And we'd never done that before.
We had not. We always shared everything.
Yeah. And again, this was another step. You having your own bank account was just allowing you to take ownership of the autonomy that you have in practice. So I couldn't wait for the summer to come and get out to Tooltown and live there. Because it had been like 2 years of me out there every moment I could get on the weekends. And I would dream of just like, what would it be like if I could just spend 2 weeks here? Like, how much would I get done? How much could I build? And it was, I was getting ready to like show you this magical place that I made for you. And so I set myself a deadline that by anniversary 2023, our 10th wedding anniversary, that I was going to have the whole trailer like finished, painted, set up, and ready for you to be able to come and go, yep, I love it here. I feel safe here. And it's magical. Want to run over and see if anybody's in the rocks around the corner over there?
Sure.
You say there's no one over there?
There's no one there.
Okay. We didn't think anybody would stand 10 feet away from us. New location. I mean, should we show you how close the people were that just kind of popped down? They didn't know what we were doing. So in the spring of 2023, we had this kind of new arrangement. We negotiated you dating women in our 2022 anniversary, which is the end of August. In the spring of 23, after having spent 2 weeks in Mexico and just living there, not vacationing, but just like getting into a routine there, I just wanted to be here all winter long.
Yeah.
And spend my summers working out in Tulip Town. And my job had been there on and off, not very profitable. I never made a lot of money, but there were some real problems that started. And when we got into kind of the summer of 2023, it was in serious trouble, and I was not getting paychecks really anymore. And we were in this new arrangement, though, where my money was my money and your money was your money. So as long as I could scrape together the amount that I was responsible for at the end of the month, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And I was moving on faith that I was doing exactly what I was meant to do, being out in Tulip Town, being able to say yes to people who wanted to come out and do their own intentional healing work with me guiding them through the process that I've used to heal myself. And I really did feel like this was my purpose. And I was maybe getting a little weirder.
Yeah, got a lot weirder.
But so happy to just be free and not have to worry about rent. You had the house taken
I had the
care
rent.
I had, struggles in how the money would come to me, but it showed up every month.
Yeah.
And I think a real pivotal moment was me and my lesbian girlfriend.
Yes.
With a girl that she was dating, went to this beach party in Toronto. that my cousin had been saying,
about.
you got to go to this. And my cousin is one of these people that I was able to have come out to Tulip Town and do the work with them, and they did some great healing, right? So we went to this event, and it was a queer-friendly event, and I had a great time. I would have had a little bit of LSD.
You don't say.
At that party. And that's something that you, even though you were like, I'm never going to do the big mushroom trip again,
Yeah.
you had become comfortable with low doses of LSD.
Yeah, we did tiny bits of LSD throughout the years.
You always had a bit of like fear that was a little irrational going into some of this stuff, but you quickly would get over it.
I would get over it. I mean, I still do that. Let's be real.
Yeah. But you wouldn't approach high doses of anything.
No.
Anyways, we had this great time. And I said to Esther, like, you had been kind of struggling with meeting other queer people.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the type of place you need to go to. This is the type of party you should be at. Like,
I wanted to experience the community.
You should be at that with me. Like, I was so supportive of you and
oh yeah,
exploring this part of yourself that you'd had to like hide away your whole life.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was let you be free. And it was like, why am I the one who's going having a great time at a queer event and you're not with me?
Yeah.
So
we were like, we gotta
schedule one,
and I'll go to one.
Well, you started making an outfit.
Oh, and you're like, oh, because you told me, you're like, oh, you can make an outfit for these events. And I was like, if I can make a special outfit, I'm there.
And you started looking at like TikToks and videos about rave clothing.
Yeah, and I got into that, and I was like, this is my jam.
And I remember calling you from Tulip Town and saying, we're still going to retire together, right? Because we talked about that. And I said, because if we're not going to, like, if you're just leading me on, let me know. Don't lead me on. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to retire.
Yeah. It reminded me, though, of that moment.
Of the, I love you.
I love you.
And the truck.
It was probably around this time that I sat in meditation and I thought, about the people that I'm working with and how the same thing happens over and over and over for them, where they think they know who they are.
Yeah.
They go into an ego death. They have this huge part of themselves exposed that was behind this lie, right? That they decided, no, I'm this, I'm that. And all of a sudden it's stripped away and they see this part of themselves that they could never have faced in their regular life. And I looked at myself and I went, you're not finished. You never will be. And I said, I'm going to do a little experiment here. What's the one thing? What's the one big lie that you could be telling yourself that you just aren't ready to face? And it was our relationship. And I thought, yep, there's some stuff there. And then I took that and I played with it in my head for a minute and I said, you need to forget this. You need to let this play out. And I sat and I went back to I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. Until I went, what was that thing I was thinking about? I don't even remember. And I maintained that meditation. And then I got up and I went about my business. Now, you were going to make that outfit for that event.
Yeah.
And I had it on the calendar, and I was super excited because all I ever wanted was for you to be able to like go somewhere and do a little dose of LSD with me, and you and I have fun together, be in love, and for you to get over all this. And so I came home for it, and it was a Sunday or a Monday, and we wake up that day, and the forecast is rain. This was an outdoor beach event.
Pouring rain.
And they say we're canceling the event.
Yeah.
And you had made the outfit?
I made it. I was ready.
And I was just super excited for our date together.
Yeah.
And so I said, like, it doesn't matter. You made the outfit, wear the outfit. Let's just go out, wear it. Let's go have a good time.
And I was like, no, this outfit is for a rave.
It's for an event.
It's for an event.
I had to have the event.
I need that event. Nothing else made sense with that outfit. It was for that. I had these strict rules.
And, I was there to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we ended up down on this new couch that you had to have for your new living. She was redecorating the living room because it was her house now, right? She's like, I want a new couch. And she got a mustard colored couch from Leon's. And we're sitting on that couch, and this conversation of like, you don't need the event to have a good time. You can have a good time anywhere, anytime. Let's just go have a good time together. That conversation took a turn.
That conversation went deep.
What I remember is you saying to me, when you asked me to tell you if we're not going to retire together.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, tell me now.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't know.
And then probably the hardest thing I've ever had to hear, he said, I don't think I'm sexually attracted to you any longer. I don't know if I ever was. We were both crying.
Yeah.
We were both talking about how this feels so horrible.
Yeah.
And you said you think you want to have a relationship with a different man.
They did.
Like, I want to, since you'd been seeing women, you now want to see men. And you specifically said you had gone to visit your friend in Vancouver, and you flew next to someone who was hitting on you.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I don't feel like I have any power. I feel like I'm tied down, and I wish I could have just said yes to that guy on the plane to see where that went. Like, that's what I was feeling I wanted, because I felt powerless. And that was killing me. And I said to you, like, I know you said you never want to do this again, but all these things you're telling me, that I feel powerless, I feel tied down, I feel like I have no control, these are the things that I teach people out in Tulip Town to overcome. These are the things that when you have that big high dose mushroom experience, you realize you have all the power.
Yeah.
And you said, fine, let's do it.
Yeah. I was like, I'll give him that.
I was like, do what?
The trip. The mushroom trip. The full, big, high dose mushroom trip.
The one that you'd been saying, I will never, ever do that again with.
Yes.
And I didn't want to push, because I had gotten to the point where I realized people have to come to this on their own. You can't sell anybody on anything. And we softly got into that.
Yeah.
And decided, this was early August.
Yeah, we decided it was a month.
The right time to do it, especially because I had a trip recently. Like, I have to space them out myself as a guide.
Yeah.
The only day that seemed to work would be on our 10th wedding anniversary.
Our 10th wedding anniversary.
And that didn't make that day feel any better.
No, we were still left with a very unsettling feeling.
I remember going for a scoot. We went out on the Vespa that day, that afternoon.
Yeah.
And you were on the back.
And I was
and I was driving. And I was looking at the oncoming traffic.
I
felt a heartache.
And I was questioning, is this going to be the last time I'm going to do this? Riding on the back of Vespa.
With me. And we decided I wasn't going to come and visit every weekend between then and the end. We decided I was going to be gone for most of August.
Yeah. Really take a break. And then come together and do the mushroom trip.
But you left me with this, I want to explore things with men now too. And I went away and I talked to my therapist.
Yeah.
And I went to Tulip Town by myself. And I sat with it. I grieved. And I remember calling you and saying, I'm not comfortable with it now. If I were ever comfortable with it, there would be good ways and bad ways. But I needed you to know you have autonomy over your body and you choose what you do with it. Mm-hmm. And that's not something I'm giving you. That's just the way it is for everyone.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want you to know that that's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's not for me to give you permission to do things with your body.
Yeah.
So after that really hard conversation where you said, I don't know if I'm sexually attracted to you, and I spoke to my therapist about it, she said, well, this is kind of weird, but you have to be sexually attracted to yourself first. And I didn't get that. Everybody wants to be in this episode.
We crawled through a cave to get here. Yet everyone follows.
I had planned the San Pedro trip.
They're coming back. They're not going to the tunnel.
It's really hard to keep the story going.
I know. We're focused. When you get back in, focus on San Pedro.
I've been growing the San Pedro cactus for several years and done a lot of research on it. They say ayahuasca is the mother and San Pedro is like the grandfather. People always said it had a really masculine energy. And after that conversation and me really examining my own sexuality in a way that I never really had before, I was considering things like, not that I'm gay, but like that I'm different, right? I've heard the term saposexual, right? And that's someone who, if you don't know, is attracted to someone's intelligence. And I'm an intelligent guy. And I thought, well, maybe that's my thing. Maybe my sexuality is through intelligence. Because I just didn't own the fact that I could be a normal, functioning sexual being. And you had never spoken to me in a way that would make me think you felt that way about me.
No, I never talked about that.
So I went into this San Pedro experience. The person who I was going to do it with, they had a conflict. So I'm alone. Over 36 hours, I fasted and I cut down this cactus. I pulled all the thorns out. I broke it down. I cut away the part you don't want and kept the part you do, and dehydrated it and I mixed it into coffee. It was the grossest thing I've ever tasted. And then I went into what I had heard and been told would be about a 14 to 16-hour experience. Um, it took about 3 hours before I really started to feel it. And when I did, I was like, oh, this reminds me of both mushrooms and LSD. It's like if they had a baby, and then I went, no, they're the babies. This is the grandfather. And if you go into a mushroom or LSD experience at a high dose, it can be very overwhelming, this like climb getting into it. It was not the case with the grandfather. With San Pedro, which is mescaline, it's a very gentle and warm experience coming up. And you like a frog being boiled alive, right? You slowly all of a sudden go, whoa, I'm deep in this experience. And I had chosen to be completely naked, alone in Tulip Town, with a tent that was just the mesh screen. And I was lying naked, staring at the trees and the sky. And I started doing breath work. I started doing like the Wim Hof method, breathing in like 30 really big, deep breaths and then holding my breath. And in one of those breath holds, I swear I heard something snap right in my like left groin. And I immediately thought, that is the gateway to pleasure. And then I went, oh, it's my sacral chakra. But something changed in me in that split second, and all of my shame was exposed. All of these like divisions between what is good touch and bad touch, what is normal and sexual, like where the lines that I had drawn between shameful and loving, they dissolved. And and it took time and practice after that moment to fully feel it in my body, but all the divisions in my mind were gone in an instant. And I just remember feeling whole and realizing I'm not broken. And I told you about it. And we had agreed I wasn't going to come visit. And you were like, no, 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 I want to meet this new man.
Yeah. I was like, what do you mean you changed? I want to know what you learned.
And I came back and we had sex, and it was different.
It was different.
Was it better? Sure.
Yeah, it was different.
It was different.
You were owning yourself.
And that was about 2 weeks before our 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't stay with you straight through. I went back to Tulip Town again because I had my deadline. Our 10th wedding anniversary was coming up, and I had the deadline that I was going to get the trailer like not finished, but like she's going to be comfortable,
like ready.
And then we were going to do this big trip that I had always known you would do.
Yeah.
Every time I would get to that peak experience, that place, that destination where you understand everything, she was there with me energetically, in spirit. Like there was this knowing, deep inner knowing that Esther's always there at the end, because she was there in this eternal moment, right? When you get to that peak, you're all time, you're now, and it's always now. And it's like, if she's here now, she's here the whole time. So we went and we celebrated our anniversary the night before.
We went out to dinner.
To a place in Grand Bend.
A
fine restaurant.
Fine.
It was a little bit of fine dining. And I gave you a gift.
Yep.
On the way to dinner. What did I give you?
He gave me a Barbie that was like Barbie and Ken in this box. It was like flight attendant and pilot Barbie. And you said to me, because I'm your Ken, like Barbie and Ken stay together. And it just hit me.
For her birthday, she did this whole Barbie theme.
Barbie had came out,
birthday.
So we went to the movies to see it.
She got all her friends to wear pink, and I wore pink, and
yeah,
and we did that. And I remember after the very difficult conversation, I think I said to you, it's like, oh, you're telling me I'm not Knuff.
Right.
Knuff.
Ken.
If like you haven't watched the Barbie movie, go watch the Barbie movie. So the anniversary weekend comes. We go out to dinner and we celebrate the anniversary. And then the next day, on the actual date, 10 years from the day that we were married, I treated you like any other guest that I would host.
Yeah.
We got up and we did a meditation, breath work, plunge in the lake. Mm-hmm. This is August 31st, so it's still pretty warm in Lake Huron. It's not like a cold plunge.
No, it was so warm. It's summer.
We came back. We prepared our space. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I did differently with you than I would have done with anybody else was I would always be very separate from the other person. Like they would have their own little nest and I would have mine. And although we did create two kind of spaces, I held you from the beginning. So I won't go into the details of the preparation or anything, but we take the medicine, the psilocybin containing mushrooms, and we got into the tent.
I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. Because of what I had faced the last time I did mushrooms, I knew it was going to come up again. I just knew.
And I was holding you in this tent on an air mattress with the open screen to the sky.
Yeah.
The best beautiful setting.
So beautiful.
And we did everything we could to prepare for it, but what we couldn't prepare for was her father.
Oh, yeah.
Was plowing the field just up the hill. So every once in a while you'd hear the rumble.
Because you'd go through the field and come close, and then you'd turn, and then you would go back to the other side of the field. And so you'd hear him coming and going.
So, it's all bubbling up in us. It's coming to this. We're starting to really feel it, a very high dose. And I knew that whatever happened in her last trip was definitely going to come up again.
Yeah.
Because it was inevitable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is like her trauma, her father.
You had always assumed also that it was my father issues. So with my father coming and going, it was triggering me in a way.
Not the way I thought.
I was having like a physical reaction every time I felt him close and heard him close.
So just like with everybody else, I usually get there to this I'm one with the universe place first, and then I check in with my guest. And I got there and I looked at you and I'm like, do you know what the truth is? This is something I'll say. And you kind of looked at me and you were crying, and you looked at me and you nodded, and I just went, no, it's important you say this. And you went, yes. But still, this weeping, the same face that she made the last trip when she started weeping. It was the exact same thing. But I knew she couldn't lie in that moment. And when she said yes, it was. And what that meant, what I was feeling, she was there too.
Yes.
Because there was this cosmic connection with you that I had. Because we didn't get there in the same space last time. You were alone in the room upstairs, and I was downstairs.
Yes.
Here we were physically.
I ran away.
Yeah.
Last time.
we're in the same space, we're touching,
Yeah.
and I got it. I'm like, oh, yep, that's everything.
Yeah.
I knew you got it,
Yeah. I
but
knew everything,
you still had all this pain.
but I had all this pain.
So I got up to use the bathroom, and intentionally left her alone in the tent, and I went into the trailer and just started going through my process, my self-healing process. And one thing that I realized in that moment was, oh, if you're the teacher, if you're the guide, it's your job to teach, and it's the student's job to learn. And it's not your job to teach them what to learn. It's your job to teach them. It's their job to learn what they're there to learn. And I got that. And I was like, okay, she's going to figure out whatever she needs to figure out. And I let go of, at that point, you and I are just in the experience together. I'm not guiding you anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't exist.
We're just there in the space of truth. And what I'm experiencing, it's the universal truth of this is all there is. And I was so blissfully happy, but then I had something inside of me being like, why can't you be like this all the time? Oh, lies. Lies are keeping you from this moment. Lies to yourself, lies to other people, literally everyone you know. And I was like, okay, either I push this down again or I actually deal with this.
She pops her head into the trailer, and I'm in the bliss because I've dealt with my lies. And she's snotty, her hair's a mess, tears everywhere. And she was just the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And she says to me, I just met myself for the first time. And I was just so happy for you. And she crawled into bed with me, all snotty.
So snotty.
And she's like, what's next? And I said, chop wood,
I was
fetch water.
so blissfully happy because I wasn't Esther.
And that's when she started saying, I don't know how to live. I don't know how to live.
And I kept being like, but my story, because you realize your life is just a story. I'm not Esther. It's just a story. But the story was affecting me so much. I was like, I don't know how to live. I don't know how to live. And in my mind, it's like, I don't know how to live truthfully. I don't know how to not put up walls and masks and what comes with that.
And then you started repeating, after I don't know how to live, I've hurt you so much.
I've hurt you so much. I've hurt you so much.
Just repeating it. And I kept on telling her, you can't hurt me. No, but I've hurt you so much.
No, but I've hurt you so much. You don't know.
You can't hurt me. Only I can hurt me.
Because just as I wasn't Esther, he wasn't Peter.
And I realized everything comes through a filter. I am the one that puts meaning on good and bad on everything. You can't hurt me unless I choose to take offense. And I think I said, how have you hurt me?
I don't really know how it came out. I don't know the words I used.
I've been with another man.
I've been with another man. That was the one thing that he didn't want me to do.
And I said, okay, who? Who was it? She said, his name is Rick. And I said, I don't know who that is. Like, I had some idea that I would know them.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, yeah, I know. And he's been a part of our life for the last 3 years. Cliffhanger.
We're not stopping there.
I mean, that would be a great cliffhanger.
It would.
You don't want to go through the jungle in light that's any darker than this.
All right, cliffhanger.
I mean, I wanted to be able to record
The
another
whole
hour
thing.
and keep on going.
No, I think this is good. This is good. And then we'll get into the specifics of it all.
Because there's so much more, and it took a while for it to come out.
Yeah, and
All of the
it was lots
details.
of layers of the past.